What's up, y'all? One Piece, One Life here. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to feel. Because, I was just thinking, there's a strong chance that we've been lied to. Series author Eiichiro Oda himself lied to us. Specifically, the way that it was shaping up, it would have been an interesting thing if we weren't even on LBAF for real. Of course, this is before 1130 came out and I found out the truth. And can I only just say, thank God for that. Because I'm not gonna lie, Chapter 1130 may be one of the top 10 chapters of this year. But I'm jumping the gun. Let's start from the beginning and go through the whole batch. So this is going to be One Piece chapter review 1128 through 1130. But before we start, guys, please do one thing for me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. We are damn near at 300. My goal for this year was 200 and y'all have been pushing it. So let's really get there. And make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. I promise you we are the next coming of RDC and we just hit 1K. I promise you guys, you don't want to miss this journey. Okay, that was like 4 things that I wanted you to do, but it doesn't matter. Let's start. So starting off at 1128, we actually have a color spread that Oda drew of all the Straw Hats in like Harry Potter-esque attire, and they all have ties corresponding to what their signature color is. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the better color spreads. I can't lie. Call it Harry Potter bias if you want, because that is also one of my favorite series ever, but I really dig this one. So the chapter starts off with Sanji saying, okay, there's way too many dudes in here to actually be a dream for me. And he starts skyrock scrap. So the chapter starts off with Sanji saying, okay, there's too many guys around here to actually be my kind of dream. And he starts skywalking up with Nami to see what we can see. And can I just mention, it's been so long since we've had Sanji's gag come back without it being over the top. I'm so happy my boy is back. So he and Nami are scouting out while Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp are kind of talking on the ground. And to me, what's kind of funny is just how Luffy's like, Usopp, you could have taken that cat thing, right? Like you was just playing for real. Like it got the drop on you or something. And Usopp's like, oh no, of course, nah, it just got the drop on me. Like I could have taken it. Because I feel like Luffy in this moment is impersonating all of us as the fans. Like, yes, Usopp, you should be able to take care of this thing. It's actually insane that you can't at this stage. Like you still can't be this weak. This is the final saga, pal. I'm gonna just say it does not bode well continuing on from in 1129. So the group start trying to figure out what happened to them. They even theorize that maybe this is Elbaf, but they've been gigantified. But they can't figure it out. They just decide, hey yo, let's go and ask people in town. So then some old guy pulls up on what can only be described as a battle grasshopper, which I personally will be calling a crash hopper until further notice. Ben 10 fans, where y'all at? So he states that he's on his way to go and clean the big Stein Castle, as that's where the great Iskat, the cat lion, lives, and that in general this is a vast land of gods ruled over by the sun god. So he keeps telling them about all of these different gods that they have and all these different animals. And the funny thing here is Luffy has to actually be shushed by the others, and they all have to feign like they don't know what is going on, because they realize, hey yo, wait, these are the animals that we took out. Like, which again is just original One Piece feel. I actually miss this. So the guy gives them a warning. It's like, yo, don't go down this road. That's where the rabid guardians live. Luffy, of course, just hears adventure and dashes down the path, like immediately. Like, what's wrong with him? So now they're all running after Luffy, and it looks like they're going straight ahead. And it looks like somebody else is coming straight ahead at Luffy before Luffy crashes into the sky. So the sky cracks, and it seems like it's some sort of mirror where if you're on the inside, you can't see the outside, but from the outside, you can see what's going on inside. They peer through and they see that this is indeed some sort of giant's room, but it doesn't look like it's any of the rooms on Dora and Bragi's ship. As they're related to some sort of pet cage, that's when things finally start to get pieced together. It looks like they were kidnapped and put in this replica town by a giant. And it just made me think of the model toy trains that, history buffs and all of them like to do in their basement. Any history buffs, don't come at me. I'm just telling the truth. But as they finally get through, we actually see that Chopper is indeed there, and we finally have the Alabasta crew reunited. So as they get back together, they see that the whole country is made out of plastic blocks. So what can I say? The guy likes his Legos. Like genuinely, somebody get this man a Lego set immediately. So they're talking about whether they're on Elbaf, and they actually don't know. All they know for sure is that a giant did do this. And so as they want to go back into town to start asking the townspeople what's up, randomly, a giant snake, 3 random giant mice, and a huge ass crow come out of nowhere and start attacking them. Real quick on this though, Oda may actually be basing these 3 on the animals that surround the Yggdrasil tree in Norse mythology. Because you have the giant snake, Jormungandr, the giant eagle thing that kind of sits at the top of the tree, Harris, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, I'm not going to lie to you. And then the giant rat, Ratatoskr. And I'm not gonna lie, I just really loved seeing that we finally got some representation for Ratatoskr, because I love saying that name. So then we see a figure approaching the room, and he's got a cow skull on and a staff with a sun symbol on it. And as he busts into the room, he's like, oh no, not my secret temple, as he realizes that the Straw Hats have started fighting back with Luffy in Gear 5. And I'ma just ask it, really Luffy? Gear 5 for some fodder animals? That's what we're doing now? So Zoro slices down the crow, Luffy uses Dawn Pistol on the snake, then the cat lion thing comes back and they all ride on top of it, actually calling back to the moment when they all rode on top of the giant crab in Alabasta. Like you even have Chopper translating for what he's saying. And then the chapter ends with them running away from the sun god, who's obviously like, I'm not gonna let you get away. So starting us off back in chapter 1129, continuing on with Yamato's cover story, Yamato is riding on top of Komachiyo, the Koma Inu, and she is watching Shinobu, who has gone back to her usual plump self, give Tama a ninja training lesson. And honestly, I just can't wait for 2-piece where Tama is a full-fledged ninja helping Momo out. In fact, that's what I did make her in my story, but you're gonna have to read that for the details. Inserted shameless plug, check. Alright, what's next? So as the townspeople of what I'm calling Legoland start saying, oh no, the sun god is back and the sun god is angry, it's very obvious that the sun god is actually just a giant who's butthurt for whatever reason and trying to make himself seem important. It's just his room, the animals are just his pets. Let's move on. So as the Straw Hats are on the Great Iskat and it's running away, Luffy's actually admiring the giant's work and is like, yo, he actually like spent a lot of time building this. Can we not destroy it? And then the Great Iskat immediately starts destroying it and Luffy gets angry. I don't know. Does anyone else find this slightly uncharacteristic? Or just me? I mean, I guess it makes sense in the context of like, this is maybe the giant's dream and Luffy's all about, you know, people's dreams and stuff like that. But even then, has Luffy ever done something like this? And keep in mind, bro really kidnapped Luffy and his friends and forced them into being a part of his replica. Is that not sick? I don't know. I don't really think there's any empathy to be had, but maybe that's just me. So we then get some Nami Shine moment. She's throwing away the blueprints and everyone's like, why would you do that? Nami's like, don't worry about it. I already memorized it in my head and I know exactly how to get out. Which I just love to see because it's been a while since we've seen Nami do some real navigation things, and this is even better because it's not even naval navigation. This is just on land. So the sun god tries to bring out a net to capture them, but Zoro and Sanji easily break out of that. But I'm more interested in what the giant said, because he said that this is a giant detention center, meaning this is a prison for actual giants? Like the townspeople and all of them, they're actual Elbathian giants. Because if that's true, then we have to ask the question, why are they the same size as the Straw Hats? My thinking at this point is that this person, who will be revealed momentarily, or someone they know has some sort of shrinking devil fruit, and anytime a giant has been deemed to be doing something bad, they start shrinking them and, you know, putting them in their replica. Hence the name of the chapter is Living Dolls. Now whether this is actually legal, like this is what they've been tasked to do by Elbaf, or they're just doing this because they're a sick mofo, I don't know. Actually, it's probably the latter. Especially since we see in a few panels that the townspeople who are all putting up with this sun god facade so far are now taking their best moment to be like, hey yo, let's get out of here while he's distracted. Look at that, the warrior of liberation doing his title. So as they say that, the sun god is like, don't worry, the ear god will definitely kill you. And that's when we see that the ear god has indeed been charred down to the bone. This pushes him over the edge and the sun god starts tweaking out, going on a whole long monologue about how, oh, this is a story full of heroes and villains and tragedy and blah blah blah, I don't care. And then the giant says, Hirudin may recognize you, Straw Hat, but I don't. And that immediately draws you to the New Giant Warrior Pirates, because that's what Hirudin was the captain of. And since we're already here, we may as well reveal who it is. The sun god is really this guy, Roto of the New Giant Warrior Pirates. He's their navigator, and he's crashing out apparently because Hirudin made them all subordinates to Luffy while he did not agree with that. So in a flashback sequence, we see that Mugen, which is the giant crow from earlier, had carried the Sunny with those Straw Hats on it all the way to Road. And Roto is like, oh, they must have gone through the sleepy mist belt, and that's why they fell asleep. Long story short, he's a filthy creep because the moment they started to wake up, he started squirting them with more of the sleepy gas so that they would fall back asleep and he can dress them up as living dolls and keep them forever. Is that not a freak thing to do? Like, seriously, Roto, did your parents never get you Legos as a kid? Because I genuinely think all of this could be solved by like a 10-year-old's birthday party. Anyway, it's all irrelevant because the moment I found out that it was Roto, I immediately became disinterested. At least in him as a villain. Anyway, as they're escaping, there's a mirror and then a wall like on the outer side of it. Usopp shoots it with skull bomb grass trying to get them out, and that crashes the mirror but not the wall behind it, which I'm not gonna lie is a tragic way for Usopp to start out his Elbaf journey. But then that's when Luffy says leave it to me, and he selectively uses Gear 4th on only his arm. I'm gonna say that again. Selective use of Gear 4th. Like, he doesn't even need to go into the actual whole transformation. He only uses it on his arm, and then he uses Kong Gun to break through the wall, and that's how the chapter ends. I mean, this is just going to show how competent and comfortable Luffy is becoming with his own power set, because we literally saw this after the time skip. He came back having mastered Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd to where he didn't even have to go into the stance and use Gear 2nd on his whole body. He was selectively using it on his arm. Well, now it seems like he can do the same thing with Gear 4th. That also means that in chapter 1127, when Luffy said he's using Gear 4th even though it looked like a Gear 3rd elephant whip, maybe he really was using Gear 4th, and this was Oda's way of priming us for this information that we didn't even know could was possible. And then on top of that, we get another Nami moment because she and Zeus literally take out a whole freaking giant with one thunderbolt. I mean, this is so heartwarming to see the progression for Nami of all people. Fair enough, Roto is about as fodder giant as fodder giants can be, considering that Haruden, who is his captain and therefore definitely stronger than him, was one tapped by Dressrosa Luffy. But regardless, for Nami, who's always in contention for one of the weaker Straw Hats, for her to be pulling off something like this is amazing. And as Luffy looks outside, he sees that we are indeed in Elbaf. Alright guys, technically they find that out next chapter, but let's get to it. So in 1130 we have the cover story with Yamato, and while Yamato and Tama are napping, somebody has stolen the sword that Yamato was meant to take back. I'm just saying, yo, this person is a notorious thief. What's going on? So of course, the Straw Hats who are on Elbaf are actually there, as we'll find out. But first, we start the chapter off with actually the Straw Hat adults who are still with Dory and Bragi. So Frankie is telling them, yo, we've been searching for a while, it's about time to call off the search, but we appreciate all your help. And Robin's like, yeah, we already know that they're alive, we'll just meet up with them on Elbaf at some point. Which to me just goes to show the trust that these adults have in the younger crew members. Even though they're kids compared to them, they're still crewmates, they still see them as equals. I'm not gonna lie, I really love the blind faith. Jinbei mentions that even his shark network failed, so I guess he was like, you know, communicating with sharks and other things to like try and figure out where they went. I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember the last time Jinbei has shown that he was able to talk to sea life. It's been so long, but it's dope that it's bringing it back. Brook also mentions, yeah, we don't have any food left, let's just see him in Elbaf. So on Elbaf, Luffy's group busts out of the castle that they were stuck in, and they end up on what seems to be a snowy mountain. Then they look up and they see a huge bridge leading into a tree canopy. They then hide as Gerd and Goldberg, two members of Haruden's new giant warrior pirates, are reintroduced, talking about Roto. Gerd is saying that Roto is actually insane, which I'm actually glad people like other giants know about this and it's not like something that he's been hiding. While Goldberg says that Haruden let him join because regardless, Roto is still a skilled navigator, which just goes to kind of show the kind of person Haruden is. Gerd then says that even though Loki is the one that is called the Shame of Elbaf, Roto deserves it more. And don't worry, we'll get back to Shame of Elbaf very soon. So it turns out Gerd's got a pet owl called Piper, and it saw Mugen the Crow carry the Sunny off, so they're trying to, you know, lawfully arrest the people that invaded. Luffy wants to talk to them because, you know, they seem nice, but Nami stops them because they're actively looking for us. Like, what are you doing? So then as they dip, the crew continues across the giant bridge. But can I just say, does Luffy not know that they're like a part of Haruden's crew? Because Haruden is sore under to him. And I mean, I guess fair enough, how would Luffy know that? But shouldn't somebody know that? So as they're crossing, Luffy suddenly feels something, and he asks Zoro and Sanji, yo, do you guys feel that too? which to me is giving me flashbacks to when Kizaru appeared on Egghead, because it was a similar thing with Luffy saying, oh, I feel chills or I feel goosebumps. Of course, Zoro's interested in checking it out too, but Sanji holds them back and is like, yo, we're not looking for random things anymore. We're not going through forests. Let's stop this. But then this man Luffy, he really just jumps, dives in straight ahead and is like, yo, I'm gonna go check it out because I want to. And he just jumps. Like, what is wrong with him? This guy is too impulsive to actually be a functioning member of society. Anyways, back on the giant ship, we see that the newspaper has come in and it's saying that the giants are being framed for the attack on Egghead, even to the extent where Dory and Broggy have been given updated bounties of 1,800,000,000 each. That is a lot. That actually bolts both of them into the top 20 active bounties right now. Maybe even the top 20 period. And I guess it makes sense because it's accounting for inflation since they got their 100 million bounties 100 years ago. But then Robin notes something interesting. Now I made a short about this, but it seems like there's a curious X on Luffy's arm for some reason, the picture of him that's in the paper. She then says that picture is very blurry, but the X is clear, which to me is somehow signaling that Vivi has to be involved. Vivi drew it in as probably a message to tell the Straw Hats, yo, I'm nearby, I'm on my way. And this is why it was the genius of Oda to split off the crew in this way, because all the members who would actually recognize what that means are the ones who actually are on Elbaf right now. And they went to Robin and everybody after her who didn't know. But listen, all I'm saying is, Oda, are you saying that we're gonna get a Vivi Elbaf fit? Because I'm all for it. We then learned some Elbaf lore, and I'm not gonna lie, the Giants Island is keeping up with the hype. So it turns out there's this King Harold, right? King Harold had two sons. One of them was Prince Loki, and the other one was Prince Hiruden? Hiruden is a prince. This Hiruden. The Hiruden that was struggling against Mach Vice. I actually have so many questions, primarily amongst them being, what the hell are you a pirate for? We then learn that there's a legendary devil fruit that's been passed down throughout the Elbaf royal line, and it was so powerful that even though King Harold had it, Loki literally killed his own father in order to get this power. Now there's a few things to know with this. First of all is the fact that it offers a bit of insight into devil fruit reincarnation, because it seems to imply that the giants have some sort of way of actually controlling the reincarnation cycle, at least to the extent that the devil fruit doesn't just, reincarnate somewhere random in the world. They actually still have it. Two, what the hell could this power be? They say that Loki was sentenced to crucifixion for that, and it took all of their warriors literally coming together to restrain him and capture him. Apparently this brother is so strong that if he escapes, it's actually gonna spell the end of Elbaf as they know it, and maybe even start up the Ragnarok war, and that's why he's the shame of Elbaf. So we finally get a full spread of what Elbaf, the island itself, looks like, and it's going to be represented here by my very, very poor hand-drawn drawing. So it's basically a tiered tree. At the bottom you have the forest as well as Warland, which I think is pretty much where Shanks fought off Kid. The giant tree Yggdrasil is stretching upwards, and then you have different tiers separated by canopies. The midsection seems to be like another town, so maybe this is their equivalent of Midgard, and then maybe Asgard, where the royal family lives, is at the top tier. There's also a actual gargantuan sword sticking out of the ground randomly that's like giant sized to the giants, so what the hell could have wielded that? And then of course at the very end of the chapter, with a 2-week break coming up, Luffy is standing in front of the forest, standing in front of a giant, and we see it for the first time, finally, Loki's full design. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Oda may have cooked with this one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm never trusting a silhouette again. This is what Loki looked like when it was first shown to us. And Loki says, I am Loki who will bring about the end of the world. Now at first I thought Oda was gonna do some misdirection with Loki's character, where because a lot of pop culture, like you see it in the MCU, Loki is normally tending to be this conniving, tricky guy. So I thought it would be interesting if Oda flipped it and he's painted as this conniving evil guy, but he's actually good and is just being blamed for these things. Now I think that could still happen, but with the lore that we got that he killed his own father, that may actually send him over the edge. So I don't know where to go with Loki's character, but best believe I am excited for it. Oh, and before I forget, let me update the bingo, because Loki's design was definitely on there. I'm not gonna lie guys, that was an amazing batch, but I want to know what y'all think. So please tell me all of your thoughts about the current chapter, Loki, everything with Elbath in the comments. Guys, that is going to be the end of the video, but please, before we go, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content every week just like this, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. Remember, I'm trying to make a community, but I need your help to do it. That's going to be all for me. I'll catch y'all on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Ratatoske!